Hello everybody and welcome along to round 6 of the Simulation Racing Leagues TCR series, and we are here at the beautiful classic Silverstone GP circuit. You can see there just over 5 kilometres of track for these Audi RS3 TCR cars to munch up here this evening, and going off what was quite a busy round for some at round 5 at Brands Hatch, of course, a beautiful circuit also located here in the UK, so not a massive distance for the drivers to travel today. We will have to get some live pictures for you. I have had a slight issue with some of the paints. I hope that issue has subsided and we will get some up-to-date paints for you. If not, I am sorry, I will do what I can throughout the stream to get that sorted. But how is everybody? Welcome along, like I said, to round 6. And while we're on the subject of last round, we will have a look at how the points finished off. I'm not getting any points coming in. We'll give it one more go. If I click that, how's that? There we go. So Dan Mould at the top of the table at the moment, 87 points. Callum Reed-Garton, 86 points. Both of them went into Brands Hatch on that amount of points. Neither of them managed to get points at Brands Hatch. Callum, I don't think, attended at Brands Hatch. Dan definitely did, but had a rotten race. And tonight, Callum Reed sadly can't attend as well. I got a really nice message from Dan Mould Championship, or one of the championship organisers and the championship leader, saying he's absolutely devastated that Cal can't get there. So Dan clearly hungry for that championship battle. So if Dan, well, he didn't have the best round at Brands Hatch, so tonight is really his almost last little life that he's got to get that little points gap that is so dearly required to secure his championship going into the final half of the season. Niels van Schanden there in third place on 55 points with a new team, of course, as well, Ignium Motorsport. So it'll be interesting to see what their livery looks like. Scott Tuffy there in fourth, Rob Sutherland fifth, Neil Stevenson in sixth, the first of the Simtech racing cars on 41 points. Scott Malcolm, the sole Team Madcar, on 39 points in seventh. Louis Correa, Ben Hicks and Chris Young rounds out your top 10. Then Ashley Gaffale, Craig Walters, Andrew Lovesey, Matt Tempest, Kalle Kavisto, Scotty Angelo, Carl Lukeman and Anthony Myatt in 18th position. We'll go down another couple of rows. And we have Bram Class, Steve Jones in 20th, Derek Crowther 21st, Pete Bryan, Al Brown, Dean Hammond, Rob Jackson, Jason Guara, Dennis Rust, Fraser Garrity, Harry Bowen, Jermaine Warren, Chris Allen, John Bowen, Radoslav Zaharev and Victor Oliveira rounds out your championship points. 34 cars currently in the championship. And speaking of cars, we will get some live pictures for you so you can see they're a very far away camera angle. There we go, that's what we like. So this here is Scott Malcolm for Team Mad. Very, very nice livery aboard that car. The game is very quiet. What I'll do is I'll get that turned up for you. I'm not sure why it's so quiet. It's obviously assisted by the cars being fairly quiet as well. Let's see what we can do about that. So that should have helped a little bit. You should have some louder in-game sounds. So the car is currently out for their qualifying laps. 10 minutes of qualifying, I believe. Lone qualifying as well, so you've got the track to yourself. At the moment, no cars putting in times. The first car to cross the line on first glance, I think, will be Niels van Schanden in one of the liveries that hasn't loaded. There we go, it's just popped up in that Ignium Motorsport machine. Very, very nice livery on that. Love the spec map, matte black with chrome blue and a couple of flashes of white in there. I think he will be the first car to cross the line. I tell a lie. Ben Hicks, there he is, driving towards the line now. I think actually Victor Oliveira is just in front. No, they're tied as they go across the line. Victor Oliveira in a golden livery here this evening. Cars cross the line now. Ben Hicks gets the jump on him, goes to the top of the times, a 201.59. Jermaine Warren jumps up to second with a 203.46. Victor Oliveira there now in fourth. And there we go, the time's really starting to come in now. Andrew Lovesey, number one, the Simulation Racing Leagues entry, was in second, demoted to third with a 201.90. Scott Malcolm topping the times at the moment though with a 201.44. Pete Bryan is now in third, 201.71. So really tightly contested field. I will get some best lap times up for you on the left hand side. Bram Class goes to the top of the pile, a 2 minutes 0.97, the first of the drivers to break the 2 minute mark. Will we get anybody in the 159s? Obviously the car will get warmer, the car will get lighter the more laps they complete. So I'm guessing we might see a 109. It's a very long circuit, like I mentioned earlier, 5 kilometers of track. So a couple of tenths is more easily lost than found around here. A lot of it will be flat out as well. You can see Bram Class just trail braking through Chapel and a run onto the hangar straight. I think that was purely just to keep the tail end in check after transitioning from Beckett's. Beckett's and Chapel, one of my favourite corner combinations on any circuit in the world. You can see 15 cars putting in times at the moment. Bram Class in first, Scott Malcolm there, provisional second, Ben Hicks third, Pete Bryan in fourth, and Andrew Lovesey there in fifth for the moment. John Brown jumps up the order, places his car in 10th position with a 2 minutes 2.86. And I was expecting some more times to be posted, but if you do get a 1x, maybe you might hear me refer to a 1x, and that's iRacing's incident point system. You get 1x for going off the road, and it will also invalidate your lap as well. So if a couple of drivers have picked up an incident point on their first time lap, it means that they won't have that lap validated. Ben Hicks, I think that was, Ben Hicks jumps up to second place. Dan Mould up to third. Ben Hicks with a 201.18, Dan Mould with a 201.26. Scott Malcolm gets Dan Mould back. Andrew Lovesey now up to second place. Lots of cars putting in times here. Andy Lovesey up into, well, what was second is now third. Scott Tuffy goes on pole position. Carl Lukeman splits himself and Bram Class. So Scott Tuffy with a 2 minutes 0.79. 100th back is Carl Lukeman for Simulation Racing League. Scott Tuffy sporting a new livery as well, of course. We saw that out at Brands Hatch. Bram Class goes back up to the top. 2 minute 0.66. Very quick time there from the SimTech racing machine. So lots of times being put in. I think we might just get a bit of music on in the background just to break the silence a little bit, because I know some of these cars are quite quiet. Well, we've got qualifying taking place. It will fill the gap, of course, but lots of drivers splitting up the field. Bram Class the fastest lap overall. However, we've got Carl Lukeman with the fastest sector 3, Andrew Lovesey with the fastest sector 4. Who is this? This is Scott Malcolm with the fastest sector 5. Oh, Bram Class is going quicker. He's set a purple in sector 2. We've got a couple of cars driving towards the line. Let's see. I'm trying to find him now. I've completely lost him. John Brown coming towards the line, crosses the line now. Does he improve upon his time? I think he does. A 2 minutes 2.86. Fraser Garrity goes up into 18th. A 2 minute 2.53. 100th quicker. Radoslav Zaharev. One of the privateer entries on the field. Carl Lukeman decided that maybe he's going to just call it quits for this session in the pit lane now. Who else have we got posting times? Ben Hicks goes up into 5th. Dan Mould takes pole position. 2.2 tenths quicker than Bram Class at 2 minutes 0.44. And then lots more cars posting times. That's Andy Lovesey and Anthony James Myatt posting times. 2 minute 0.85 for Lovesey, 2 minute 0.81 for Myatt. SRL dominating the top 10 once again. 4 cars in the top 6. And I think that's Myatt's session over. Where is Dan Mould? He's not going any quicker, but Bram Class is. Look there on the bottom of your screen. He does go quicker, improves his time, but it isn't enough. 300ths slower than Dan Mould, and that tends to be a respectable margin, but on a circuit that's 5 kilometers long, that's a very big track. To be 300ths apart, that is a very, very slim gap indeed. So lots of drivers still out on the road. I say lots of drivers, it is thinning. Dan Mould is, whereabouts is Dan? Dan is continuing on, not a massively competitive time from himself being set this time by. There is Scott Tuffy, there is Andrew Lovesey setting personal best in sector 3, as well as Ben Hicks. There is Al Brown for SRL rocketing on to the hangar straight. There's Ashley Gafail, the second of the Ignium Motorsport entries. I've got to say, I really do like that livery. I think with the 10 minutes crossing over now, yep, that's everybody completed with qualifying, and that does mean as soon as session ticks over, which it does now, we will have some qualifying times for you and the grid for the race here this evening. Dan Moll takes pole position with a 2:04.438 alongside Bram Class. Very good qualifying from himself. Scott Tuffy lines up in third with Carl Lukeman for company on row 2. Anthony James Myatt in 5th, Andy Lovesey in 6th, Ben Hicks in 7th, Rob Sutherland 8th, Matt Tempest and Pete Bryan round out your top 10. Scotty Angelo in 11th, Scott Malcolm in 12th. A row of Scots there. We'll go down for a few rows. Neil Stevenson in 13th, Niels Manshanden there in 14th, Craig Walters 15th, Derek Rather 16th, Al Brown in 17th, Fraser Garrity in 18th, John Brown 19th, Ashley Caffell rounds out your top 20. Rob Jackson and Dean Hammond on row 11, Radoslav Zaharev 23rd and 24th. We'll go back another few. That doesn't seem to have worked. There we go. And John Brown in 19th, Ashley Caffell 20th, Rob Jackson 21st, Dean Hammond 22nd, Radoslav in 23rd, with David Smith 24th, Jermaine Warren 25th, Victor Oliveira 26th, Harry Bowen 27th, Jason Guara 28th, and Louis Correa in 29th, and he rounds out your grid. We will get some race pictures for you. We'll look up to our pole man. There is Dan Mould. The timing being very far back. The start-finish line pretty much out woodcut. The final little right kink here on the old pitch straight. This being the Legacy circuit, of course, a free variant of the Silverstone circuit with obviously all of the old Abbey and Santander sponsor boards along the track. I think we've only got a couple more cars to load in. Louis Correa and Harry Bowen appear to still be sat there. David Smith, for some reason, isn't showing up as I'd expect him to. So what I'll do, I'll try and get that fixed on the fly. But we are gridding. Louis Correa clearly skipping the start. But round 6 of the SRL TCR League here at Silverstone is away. Dan Mould, not with the greatest start, bogs down a lot. Bram Class storms into the lead. Scott Tuffy looking to make the most of Dan Mould's poor start. He will be on the outside going up towards Copse Corner, turn 1 here at Silverstone, and Scott Tuffy maybe holding it around the outside. Got to be very careful not to chop across the nose, but that is a move made for the moment on the run up towards Maggots and Beckett's. What will he be able to do? I think there was a bit of contact in the background there, but Scott Tuffy up into 2nd place. Bram Class taking the lead. Carl Lukeman now taking 3rd place off Dan Mould. So a rotten start from our pole sitter, and he's now under pressure from his teammate Andrew Lovesey. These two sparring partners in the Sunday Drivers MX5 League, and clearly that talent pool is crossed over to the TCRs. What a move by Dan Mould. A great run coming out of Beckett's. It led up towards Chapel, and they're now going to be 3 wide. That's going to be a great picture after the race. 3 SRL cars, 3 wide down the hanger straight on lap 1, of course. So these guys really wanted to mix it up. Dan Mould might get 2 in 1 here. He's managed to defend from Andy Lovesey. What will he be able to do about Carl Lukeman? Will he be able to dispose of him? A little dab of the brakes on the apex, keep the car in check. The last thing you want to do is make contact with your teammate now on the run up towards the chicane. What will they do? Downhill, hard on the brakes. Everybody just about gets it slowed down. Dan Mould not being able to get Carl Lukeman this time by. We'll look a little bit further down the order. Look at this nose to tail stuff. There is Scotty Angelo in 9th, Scott Malcolm there in 10th, with the attentions of Pete Bryan, Neil Stevenson and Matt Tempest chasing him down, as well as Al Brown. I think Niels Manshanden makes up that entire group. I tell a lie, you've got Fraser Garrity there for CRG Motorsport, just mixing it in 16th position. You can see lots of packs already starting to form up to the front of this pack there. You can see Carl Lukeman. This pretty much leads up to the lead, funnily enough. There is Dan Mould, who is now in 3rd. What has happened to Carl Lukeman? He's clearly made some sort of a mistake. He's gone from what was 3rd right the way down to 9th in the space of what is a sector. There is Bram Class in the lead. Scott Tuffy in hot pursuit. 1.2 seconds separating the pair of them. 1 second back from Scott Tuffy is Dan Mould there in 3rd. Andy Lovesey, Rob Sutherland, Ben Hicks, Scotty Angelo, Anthony James Myatt being elbowed out wide. He definitely lost out to Scotty Angelo. He might lose out here to Carl Lukeman on the charge up towards the timing beam for the first time. Crossing the line now, everybody keeping it clean. I don't think we saw many incidents. We've had a slight gravelly moment for John Brown. What happened here? This is going into the chicane. He's already got damage on that car. It just didn't look like it slowed down. I think he's got a wheel hanging off, actually. So I tell a lie. I didn't think there was any incidents. We'll have to have a look back to see what happened. But back up to the battles at the front there is Anthony James Myatt chasing down his SRL teammate of Carl Lukeman. And let's have a look for this incident. I can't find anything on first glance, so I'm not 100% sure how he managed that. We'll have to keep an eye out though. Apparently he's been off the road for a quick second earlier on. We'll have a look just to see, was this the incident? Oh, he got nudged going into the chicane. Didn't really have anywhere to go at that point. He held the brakes as best he could and straight into into the side of another car. We'll go on the nose cam. Oh, hard into the tail end. I think that was the CRG Motorsport entry of Fraser Garrity. And that was a very, very big impact into the pit lane. He goes, massive changes of position here, 3 wide into the chicane. We saw an incident on lap 1. They're trying to cause an incident on lap 2. Blatantly, you can see Carl Lukeman elbowed out wide once again by his teammate, Anthony Meyer. And that was Pete Brian really putting on the pressure for the SRL teammates, but that's lost him a hell of a lot of time back to Scott Malcolm. Now you can see Scott hot on his heels in towards the chicane. Look at that, that Simtech car. I think that's Matt Tempest going very, very deep into the gravel. It looked like it was very optimistic, and he could not get it slowed down, and then onto the gravel, onto the grass, and all those positions lost. Matt Tempest now down into 13th position. We've had an incident for David Smith. What has happened here? Oh, that's going to be a massive hit if he gets the barrier. No, thankfully gets it slowed down, holds the brakes, and there isn't much there to hurt his race. It will have dropped him right the way down the order now, right the way down into 26th position. We've had an incident for Jermaine Warren. This is on the run up towards the very quick right-hander, and Jermaine Warren clearly deciding that he doesn't want to carry on. Is he in the pit lane? We'll have a look back. Yeah, Jermaine Warren now leaving the pit lane. Sorry, that's John Brown leaving the pit lane, I think. Yes, we have lost Jermaine Warren. John Brown is there leaving the pit lane with a fresh Audi TCR. He's got to let this traffic by. Lots of cars wanting to get by. Matt Tempest just about overtaking. Who's that? I think that's Fraser Garrity. Oh, Fraser might get him back though. Over the grass goes Fraser. Will that be a slowdown through Maggots in towards Beckett's? I think he might have picked up a bit of a slowdown there, but back up to the lead there. You can see Bram Class trying to shake off the attentions of Scott Tuffy, but he was tucked up into the draft down the hanger straight. Scott gets the preferred line. He runs the car out wide, grabs the apex, gets his foot down so much earlier. Tuffy really under the rear wing here. Down towards the chicane, hard on the brakes. Scott once again gets the preferred line, not having to defend, looks to get the cutback once. We'll look again. Dan Mould now basically pushing him around the right-hander. So this is a 3-way battle for the lead. Dan Mould could really do with the help from his stablemate, Andrew Lovesey, but he has got 3.5 seconds to make up to help his teammate. There is Bram Class sliding his way through the chicane. That will have massively compromised his line on the way in. Forces the odd line for Scott Tuffy, but Scott loses out from that. That's Dan Mould now up into second place. A bit of contact, elbowing each other around. Proper touring car stuff. But Dan Mould now up into second position, making amends for that rough start. And he's now got his sights set on Bram Class, but he's got to keep one eye on the road ahead and one eye in his rearview mirror, because there is Scott Tuffy still chasing him down. Changes of position in the background. That's Ben Hicks squeezing his way up the inside. I think that's Carl Lukeman. It is indeed. So Carl Lukeman losing out. He looks for the cutback though. That delta is coming down. What will he be able to do? Is there an overlap? There almost is going through Woodcut. Ben Hicks almost came across the nose using the bollards there. Let's hope that that isn't a slowdown for Carl Lukeman. Up towards Copse Corner. Which driver is going to subside? Neither one wants to, but Carl Lukeman, I think at that point he had to. Nothing much he could do about defending that position. So Ben Hicks, the lead car in that for Fast Cars Go Bang, just behind another 2-car battle. That's Anthony Myatt chasing down Pete Bryan in the last-minute racing machine. Dean Hammond's been off the road. We'll have a look back at that. So is Neil Stevenson. Closest cars we've got on the road is Dean Hammond, throwing it up the inside at Maggots, trying to defend at Beckett's from Jason Guara. And then I think he might have that position secured. Doesn't get the best of runs coming out of Beckett's in towards Chapel. And he goes over to the left-hand side of the circuit, which would be the preferred line for the entry of what I think is Stowe. Do correct me if I'm wrong. Could be Abbey. Not 100% on my Silverstone corner names. Goes very deep though, does Dean Hammond. Opens up the door for Jason Guara. There's a bit of an overlap, almost a bit of contact. I think there was a nudge there. You can see Victor Oliveira trying to make the most of this. Victor Oliveira is now in front of Dean Hammond, and they both managed to get it slowed down. Dean very quick on the brakes there. He will now have to defend from Radoslav Zaharev. Just behind, you can see Pete Bryan now trying to defend from Anthony Myatt. Also, Anthony Myatt has got the attentions of Scott Malcolm and Al Brown. So the train and truly battling away. up towards the front though. Bram Class still with Dan Mould within half a second. 4/10 the gap between the pair of them. Scott Tuffy's been dropped from this battle. 1.1 seconds, best part of 1.2 seconds up to Dan Mould. And he runs wide there once again. That's not where you want to do it, Scott. That will have ruined his momentum on towards the start-finish straight. Oh, I think there's been a change of position in the background. There has indeed. That's Scott Malcolm squeezing his way up the inside of Anthony Meyer through Woodcote. And then heading up towards Copse Corner. He's defending the inside. He's got, I think that's Niels Manchanden getting in on the mix. No, that's Al Brown following his teammate along. Everybody managing to get through turn one cleanly, and the SRL cars are glued together this evening. Al Brown and Anthony Meyer both chasing down the team mad entry of Scott Malcolm. There is Andrew Lovesey. The gap 3/10 up the road to Scott Tuffy now, so he has gained on the lead pack. However, Dan Mould is carving his way through without any assistance at all. There's Carl Lukeman, followed by Ben Hicks, Rob Sutherland, Pete Bryan, Scott Malcolm, Anthony Meyer and Al Brown, and I think Niels Manchanden was in there as well. And you can see Matt Tempest in the white Simtech racing machine, the number 10, chasing that battle down. In the background you can see, I think that's Fraser Garrity looking for the move up the inside. Oh, there's contact between the pair of them. That was Derek Crowther there, and another bit of contact as well. Who's that going off the road? I think, well, it was Fraser Garrity that went off the road. Got a bit of help there from Derek Crowther. Ashley Gaffale just about got it slowed down, but does now have damage on the front of his car. I tell a lie, that's Rob Jackson with damage on the front of his machine. There is Ashley Gaffale recovering from that incident. Just got out in front of Harry Bowen for Fast Cars Go Bang. The lead gap starting to open up a little bit now. You can see visibly there's a bit more daylight between the pair of them. 7/10 separating Bram Class and Dan Mould. Dan Mould with the fastest lap on the lap prior, a 2:04. I think that might actually be quicker than his qualifying time. He does have draft assistance as well, of course. Bram Class looking like he will have the quicker lap this time by. Set a personal best in Sector 3, set the overall best in Sector 4. Heading towards the timing line. Breaks the timing beam. What does he do this time by? Not much quicker from himself. Oh, yeah, he's only 3/10 slower than his fastest, but with Dan Mould hot on his heels, runs wide through Copse. Let's hope that hasn't picked him up a slowdown. It will have already hurt his advances with the lost momentum in towards Maggots and Beckett. Dan Mould once again now within half a second, but this train in the background, you can see Carl Lukeman chasing down Scotty Angelo, and not too far back from that pair with Ben Hicks, Rob Sutherland, Pete Bryan and Scott Malcolm as well. I think Anthony Meyer in on the mix with Al Brown and Niels Manchanden chasing down the train as well. In theory, that's the battle for 5th position. All of those cars you can see in the background all chasing down 5th position. Close in the background though, this is Scott Malcolm. On the inside, you can see Anthony Myatt almost thought about sending it 3 wide. A bit of contact there between Pete Bryan and Scott Malcolm. Pete with a bit of a nudge there on the rear right-hand side. Oh, a bit more contact there with an SRL car. Is he going to get that slowed down? Wow. He held the brakes as best he could. Completely out of control. Everybody managed to avoid him. Great stuff from himself. I think that might have been assisted by Anthony Meyer in towards the chicane. We've had an incident with Craig Walters. Let's see what's happened here. Has this been self-inflicted? Jumps on the brakes and decides maybe it's not for him. So Craig deciding that that could possibly be the end of his race. We've had an off-track for Pete Bryan. This was the incident. What we will do is we will look back. Was there was a bit of contact, but to be fair, Pete Bryan didn't really leave massive amounts of room there for Anthony Meyer. Couldn't really go anywhere, could Anthony? So that has demoted Pete right the way down into 14th position. 12 minutes of the race already gone. Going on to lap 7, the lead is as close as ever. You can see Bram Class defending the inside there. That will have massively compromised his line onto the little straight part of the road up towards Maggots and Beckett's. Dan Mould looking to the outside. Is there an overlap? Well, yes, there definitely is. Dan Mould to the inside. Bram Class will get the right-hander of Maggots. That is the apex there in towards Beckett's. Following each other through. They've got to make sure they don't slow each other down too much, because Scott Tuffy is only 7/10 back from Dan Mould. So the pair of them closer than ever. Scott Tuffy definitely showing his intentions as well. We're right on board with Scott just to have a look up the road. I think Scott's even streaming this on his YouTube channel, so do feel free as and when to check in on Stuffy, see how he's doing, get his perspective from the race. Through the left and a very long right onto what would be the modern start-finish line. At the end of this straight, obviously the modern circuit would have a very, very quick right-hander. But the old variant of the circuit, hard on the brakes, through a left-right, and then up towards Bridge Corner, my favourite corner, probably in the entire world. It is a very, very good corner. I can imagine seeing F1 cars in period through here, flat out under the bridge. These cars flat out now, a lift through there. Obviously these cars can be dominated by understeer if you keep the throttle on. Dan Mould using all of the road, you can see he's well and truly letting his intentions be known, filling the mirrors of Bram. Oh, they're side by side now. What we'll do is we'll jump out of Stuffy's driving seat. You can see there Bram Class in the lead by about 0.2 of a second. Dan Mould pushing him towards the line. We will have a look back at some point because we do have a lot of drivers battling away. If they don't change position here up towards Cobbs, it's looking like they will. Dan Mould going to the inside, forcing Bram Class to the defensive line, or to the outside, pardon me. It will massively compromise his line. He'll have to brake earlier, turn in much, much later. Dan Mould is alongside, and he does have the preferred line in towards Maggots. Bram Class will get the initial turn in, but Dan should be able to carry the extra momentum through. Nope, Dan Mould decides to let the position go for the time being. Of course, 14 minutes, best part of 15 minutes into a 40-minute race, so plenty of time for Dan to get that position back. Still the battle raging away in the background. Scotty Angelo and Carl Lukeman. Ben Hicks following on with Rob Sutherland and Scott Malcolm in tow. Just behind him is Anthony Myatt. After that little bit of an incident with Pete Bryant, might have damaged his car a very slight bit, could have hurt his straight line speed. Niels Manshandon chasing him down in the draft. Up the road you can see cars side by side. That's Ben Hicks and Rob Sutherland. Rob's car very, very sideways in towards the right-hander. Ben Hicks runs very deep as well, and I think that might be Rob Sutherland and Scott Malcolm up a position there, so not a great lap from Ben Hicks. Now that's 2 positions lost in the space of 1 corner, and he's now under pressure from Anthony Myatt as well. Anthony Myatt bringing Niels Manshandon with him, the Ignium Motorsport entry, the 104. Right the way down the order though, this is Neil Stevenson chasing down Radoslav Zaharib, so it's Simtek car versus Privateer in towards the chicane. Neil Stevenson forcing Radoslav to the defensive line, looks for the cutback through the right-hander. What can he do? There is the understeer, there's the cutback. Gets on the throttle a little early, but it does give him the boost onto the straight. He is in the draft, looks to the inside and towards the chicane. Looks like Neil Stevenson will get the position made very, very late on the brakes, and doesn't really give Radoslav much of a choice there but to let him through. So up into 20th position is Neil Stevenson now. Leaders once again separated by the smallest of margins. This time Bram Class wise to the move. Holds the car on the inside. Dan Mould, you can see him chucks the car wide and throws it towards the apex, looking for the cutback. Gets the better run, bringing Scott Tuffy with him. And we saw Dan Mould try the move on the lap prior. He is almost half a car length in front. He is now a full car length in front. Dan Mould to the front, everybody, up into first position, where we're used to seeing him. Dan Mould, championship leader, of course, 1 point ahead of Callum Reed-Garton. Sadly not showing up this evening, so he's really doing everything he can here. Bram Class in second place, not out of the woods yet though. 2.5 tenths behind is Scott Tuffy. So a battle for the podium. The podium will be filled by these guys, no doubt, but it's what order they finish in, that is the question. You can see this is Anthony Myatt chasing down Ben Hicks in towards the right-hander. He looks for the cutback, grabs the throttle earlier, and then back towards the chicane once again. What will he be able to do? Looks to the inside, and that's not going to happen for him this time by. Looks for the cutback though. Looks for it once, looks for it again. What will Ben Hicks be able to do in response? You can see Anthony Myatt tucked underneath the rear wing, shadowing him around the circuit. Up the road you can see that's Carl Lukeman and Scotty Angelo battling away. Pretty much much everywhere we look, there's an SRL car. Ooh, sideways through the left-hander, through the right-hander, gets the moment collected up, does Scotty Angelo, but that's left him vulnerable to Rob Sutherland for 3 Spurs Racing. There is Scott Malcolm for Team Mad. Closest cars we've got on the road, I think, is the battle we're looking at the moment. I'll tell a lie, there's David Smith chasing down Radoslav Zaharev. So Radoslav sadly only going backwards at the moment, and there you go, we look at another battle, and there's an SRL car. Dean Hammond, the entry this time by. The battle has opened up quite a lot. Carl Lukeman, the lead car in this train, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all chasing down what is 5th position. So it's 6 for 5th at the moment. You can see in the background Rob Sutherland had a little look there, looked to the outside, nothing came of it for him. That's left him massively vulnerable though to Scott Malcolm. Scott Malcolm is on the outside for the first apex of maggots, gets the position made before the second apex. So Scott Malcolm up into 7th position, up 5 positions from where he started, pretty much been following Scotty Angelo because he's also up 5 positions as well. Rob Sutherland back to where he started, top 3 also in the positions they started as well, of course. Changes of position in the background as well. That's Anthony Meyer getting Ben Hicks this time by, but Ben Hicks has got Rob Sutherland in front, giving him the draft assistance. 3 wide through here, boys, you don't want to do that. And Anthony Meyer looking to the outside, tries to get the run on Rob Sutherland, but that leaves him massively vulnerable on the exit to Ben Hicks. Ben Hicks also got to keep an eye on his rearview mirror as well for Niels Manchanden charging through the order. Up 3 positions, a massive dive from Ben Hicks. Is he going to get that slowed down? He just about. That was very, very brave stuff. Elbows Anthony Meyer, or Al Brown wide, pardon me. And Niels Manchanden, oh sorry, it was Anthony Meyer that got elbowed out wide. Niels Manchanden behind in the Ignium Motorsport machine, and Anthony Meyer returns the favour with a big lunge on Ben Hicks. Doesn't get the move made this time by. More battling in the background. This is Neil Stevenson on the outside of Victor Oliveira, runs massively wide. Will he get a slowdown? Comes straight back on the road into the side of Victor Oliveira and into the concrete wall, the pair of them. Not what we like to see, and that's a very, very, very second-hand looking Audi RS3. Is he going to pull that off to the side of the road? No, he's going to continue on. He does have a fast repair, of course. Bram Class in the pit lane for the mandatory pit stop. He will have to pit for fuel to get to the end of the race. So is Carl Lukeman, Scotty Angelo, Anthony Meyer and Pete Bryan. Who else is coming into the pit lane? Is Ashley Gaffale coming in? It doesn't look like he is there. Is Derek Crowther? No, he definitely isn't as well. So a couple of the drivers deciding to pit early. Bram Class in the pit lane from 2nd, meaning Scott Tuffy inherits that position. 1 second back from Dan Mould. So lots of drivers playing around with strategy. We've got Dean Hammond, Radoslav Zaharev and Victor Oliveira all in the pit lane at the moment as well. Oliver H, welcome along. Dan Mould 6/10 up the road from Scott Tuffy at the moment. So that gap is starting to come down. Possibly that battle with Bram Class has slightly hurt the tyres of Dan Mould, whether it's they're starting to degrade. Very quick circuit, lots of high G corners, and it looks like the track is rather hot. What I can do for you is bring up the temperature. There we go, so you can see the track conditions. That's not what we wanted at all. It's not showing up how I wanted it to, but the top one, the date, the second one down is the time, the third one down is the wind. Track temperature is the bottom one, 26-degree track temperature. I will endeavour to get that fixed for you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry about that. So not a massively hot circuit, and you can see the track is rubbered in, so there's definitely grip out there, but that gap has come down since the start of this lap. Lap 11 at the moment, lap 12 next time by. What will Dan Mould do? Will he come into the pit lane with Scott Tuffy in tow, or is he going to stretch his fuel tank for another lap? He's thinking about it. No, he continues on once again. So does Scott Tuffy. There is Andy Lovesey. He's going to be the next one to make the decision into the pit lane this time by. What does Scott Malcolm and Team Mad do into the pit lane as well? Is he going to bring Rob Sutherland with him? He is, and he's going to bring everybody else in the field with him. Ben Hicks, Niels Manchanden, Al Brown. What's he going to do? A late decision into the pit lane for him. Next driver to make the decision will be Ashley Gaffale for Ignium Motorsport, with Derek Crowther in tow. Derek Crowther jumps towards the right-hand side of the circuit. and dives into the pit lane from 10th position. Harry Bowen, fast cars go bang. What will he do? No, he decides to continue on. Dan Mould, though, still out there. 4 tenths separating himself and Scott Tuffy, and Scott getting ever closer to the tail end. Obviously, with the draft assistance, it will only get stronger the closer he gets to the tail end of Dan. So it's understandable that the gap is starting to come down. Looking back from Dan Mould now, you can see Scott well and truly there, or thereabouts, ready to make that position. Diving towards the chicane, the left and the very long right onto what is the modern pit straight. Slightly better run there from Dan Mould. Scott Tuffy wise, so that jumps on the throttle as early as possible. He will have the draft assistance as well, of course. So he's getting closer. Bram Class in 5th position, the lead driver, having made a pit stop. Everybody in front of him, Rob Jackson, Ashley Gaffale, Scott Tuffy and Dan Mould at the front, still yet to pit for the first time. The only drivers still yet to pit as well. We will keep an eye on these two through Bridge and then through the double left-hander in the stadium section at Brooklands. And you'd expect both of these drivers to pull into the pit lane this time by, in theory, the ball's in Dan Mould's court, because Scott Tuffy can just follow him in, really. He'll decide what he does. Dan Mould hugging the inside of the final corner into the pit lane. The lead pair go, and with Scott Tuffy obviously getting that draft assistance and Dan Mould lapping consistently quicker, albeit only by a couple of hundredths than Bram Class, has that changed the lead around. We'll keep an eye on Bram Class because in theory he is the lead car out on the road. However, it all depends on how quickly Dan Mould and Scott Tuffy can get in and back out of the pit lane. Looking at around a 12-13 second stop in the pit box itself. 45 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. What is going to happen here? Dan Mould leaves his pit box now. Scott Tuffy remaining in for another 2 seconds extra, so that gap will have come out. There is Bram Class crossing the timing line, and Dan Mould massively extended that lead there. So that gap has come up quite substantially. 4.5 seconds now, the gap between the pair of them. And Scott Tuffy comes out of the pit lane as well, 4 seconds ahead of Bram Class. So Bram really not enjoying himself at the moment. Was in the lead for a sizable amount at the start of the race. Loses out a fair bit with the pit stop. Craig Walters in chat saying had to quit out of this one. VR decided to go tits up. Well, that's not what we like to see, mate. So I am sorry. We hope you can get the issues sorted for next time out. But at the moment, you'll be really happy, Craig, because your boy at the front, Dan Mould, really doing well at this point. Put it on pole position. Had a fairly rotten start, however, he made amends for that, carving his way up through the order past Andy Lovesey. And he's now back up to the front of affairs. Scotty Angelo chasing down Carl Lukeman. Scotty Angelo on the left-hand side of your screen, on the outside of Carl Lukeman, the SRL car. Couldn't quite get the move done there. Just behind is another Simtech car of Matt Tempest with Pete Bryan underneath his rear wing. Al Brown, best seats in the house for this battle. He can see the two duos in front sparring away. Losing out a little bit though, bouncing off the red limiter in towards the chicane. What's happening up the road? I think that's Scotty Angelo looking to the inside here, up towards Bridge. You've got to be very brave to get through here too wide. Scotty Angelo on the inside, gets the move made, albeit briefly, and then it just shows that the momentum around the outside for Carl Lukeman really paid dividend and keeps in 10th position. So this is a battle for the final spot in the top 10. Very, very deep from Scotty Angelo. Matt Tempest follows him. His teammate Pete Bryan now looking to the inside, became the outside through the final corner. Now onto the start-finish straight through the right-hand kink of Woodcut, and Pete Bryan gets the position made, covers across the overlap, and that's Pete Bryan up into 12th position, heading on to lap 14 of the race. But that was a dream pit stop from Dan Mould. 1.8 seconds, went into the pit lane 4 tenths ahead of Scott Tuffy, came out of the pit lane 1.8 up the road. So great stuff from Dan Mould. Scott Tuffy chasing him down with a bit of breathing space here. He can afford maybe just to ease it off a little bit if he feels like chasing him down will cook his tyres. But Bram Class 4.5 seconds back from Scott Tuffy, 6.5 back from Dan Mould. So he's really lost out in the pit window. Anthony Meyer chasing down Rob Sutherland here. Rob Sutherland, the three Spires racing machine, the number 58. There is Scott Malcolm up the road for Team Mad. I think that might be a bit of SRL traffic. Who is that? It's not Dean Hammond. Have a look back. I think it definitely wasn't Al Brown, because he's battling away with Matt Tempest, Pete Bryan, Scotty Angelo, Carl Lukeman. And I think that is the 5-car battle for 10th place. Then up the road is Ben Hicks and Niels van Schanden battling away. There's Anthony James Meyer chasing down Rob Sutherland. So lots of battles slowly starting to develop as the race wears on. And what we'll do is we've just passed the 29-minute mark, so with only 10 minutes of the race remaining, what we'll do is we'll pick a driver, maybe one that is battling away. So we'll go with Pete Bryan. Actually, we'll go with Scotty Angelo because he's on attack and defence. We'll ride on board, we'll give you a quick immersion lap, and as soon as that lap's subsides, so in about 2 minutes from now, we'll be back with you. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy a lap. Another 5-kilometre rotation of the Silverstone circuit completed. Riding on board with Scotty Angelo, you saw his battle go from offence to defence at the moment, trying to look after his tyres. A few near moves on Carl Lukeman, side by side for a little while, nearly getting the position made, gets the better run through Copse Corner, and he's chasing down Carl Lukeman once again, open the gap up to Pete Bryan a little bit as well. Scotty Angelo still in the position he started, 11th as we stand. The lead gap has come down very drastically though, from 1.8 seconds to 0.8 of a second. Scott Tuffy now charging towards the end of the race. I said he could afford to sit back, and with 8 minutes of the race to go, that's what he did. He sat back, saved his tyres, and it's really started to work for him here. Not far away from the lead. It would be great to see Scott get a win here at Silverstone. Very close to our leader. We've still got packs of cars battling away. Anthony James Meyer chasing Rob Sutherland, Ben Hicks and Niels van Schanden battling away as well. There is Pete Bryan in the middle of a 5-car battle. There's Carl Lukeman leading the way from Scotty Angelo. Pete Bryan we were just looking at, Matt Tempest and Al Brown. Ashley Gaffale chasing down Rob Jackson. I say chasing down, he's pushing Rob Jackson around this Silverstone GP circuit. Looks to the left-hand side. That will develop to the inside. It's battle of the late breakers, and Ashley Gaffale sadly doesn't come out on top that time by Rob Jackson defending his position for another couple of corners. This battle between Carl Lukeman and Scotty Angelo really hotting up. Speaking of hotting up, the lead is getting really, really close together. Scott Tuffy now within a tenth of a second from Dan Mould, pushing him through Copse Corner. The pair of them have had their battles as the season wears on, and tonight is no exception at all. You can see Scott Tuffy looking this way, and that goes very, very deep into Beckett's. That looked like a weird little incident for Stuffy. I'm not sure what happened there. We'll ride on board quickly to see what happened. It almost looked like his wheel just straightened out. Did he have a bit of a moment with the rear of the car? No, he just went deep, unsighted into the right-hander. Very easy mistake to make. And it just meant that he couldn't get it turned in. And all that hard work has just come undone for Scott. 1.6 seconds the gap between the lead pair now. And that is just what happens sometimes. Little mistake like that can cost you a massive amount of time, and it has done in the case of Scott. Bram Class still chasing the pair of them down. You can see very confident on the brakes. Doesn't look like he's going to get it slowed down, but just about grabs the apex. And the Simtech racing car looking to finish on the podium. There's Pete Bryan now on the outside of Carl Lukeman. Hard on the brakes, Carl later, however, and the pair remain as is. Simtech car in the background is Matt Tempest defending very, very hard from Al Brown. So these guys battling away as expected. Obviously they are battling for points, of course, as well. So at the moment, Matt Tempest in 12th position. He will grab himself 4 championship points. 13th grabs themselves 3 championship points. And to give you a quick rundown, at the moment, Dan Mould, our leader, would gain 25 championship points, which would put him 26 points in the lead of the championship. Second gets 20th, third gets 16th, fourth 13 points, and fifth gets 11 points, and then from 6th down to 15th is 10 down towards 1. So the top 15 all get points, of course, as well. And speaking of points, the points you don't want are those incident points. And there is a fair driver championship going on as well. So the clean driver standings at the moment is also led by our main championship leader and our race leader, Dan Mould, on average 2.5 throughout the entire season of races so far, followed by Niels Manchanden on 2.8 and Scott Malcolm on 4, the top 3 in that championship. At the moment, the leaders separating once again 1.8 seconds now, so that little mistake from Scott has thrown him out of his rhythm, and in desperation trying to get that position made, just went for a bit of a run over the grass and left him with all the work to do once again. In the background though, Pete Bryan and Carl Lukeman trading places very briefly. That's Pete Bryan in 10th, albeit for the moment. We know Carl Lukeman's very strong on the brakes into the chicane. You can see that there, but there's still the overlap. What can Pete Bryan do in response? Looks for the cutback once, looks for it again, but Carl Lukeman defending for his life here to get that top 10 finish for SRL. And once again, the top 10 dominated by SRL cars. You've got Carl Lukeman in 10th, Anthony Myatt in 7th, Andrew Lovesey in 4th, and Dan Mould in the lead, of course. So lots of SRL cars in the top 10. There's Scott Malcolm though, mounting a challenge on Andy Lovesey for 4th position. Bit of damage on the front right hand side of the Team Mad Machine, however. Let's hope that isn't affecting performance. Looking back now, you can see the pair of them glued together as expected. And that really just outlines the championship. Glued together is probably the most used phrase, because it's very difficult to separate a line of cars. Throughout this race, a massive lunge to the inside. Very brave stuff. They come together. And I think Andy Lovesey did everything he could there. Scott Malcolm sadly losing out. What we'll do is we'll ride on board. A massive send up the inside. It actually looks like Andy Lovesey possibly turned in a little bit there. can see it was a very, very brave move from Scott Malcolm, much braver on the brakes, and he's pretty much got the move made. It will be difficult for him to make the corner at this rate of speed, of course, and Andy Lovesey, yeah, just throws it into the right-hand side of him. A bit of a wheel wobble there on the front of Andy Lovesey. How is he getting on? We'll go back to live pictures. It looks like he is dealing with it all right. Scott Malcolm with that damage, of course. There is Andy Lovesey. That front wheel still attached, so the damage clearly didn't sync itself correctly, but Andy Lovesey continues on. David Smith has had a little bit of an incident. Let's see what has happened to David. He's gone off the road, possibly looking at his delta or looking in the rearview mirror. Jumps on the brakes, and I hope he hasn't returned to the pit lane. No, he's continued on. No, that's Andy Lovesey, pardon me. Let's have a quick look. David Smith, yeah, he sadly has returned to the pit lane. Not what we like to see. However, clearly not happy with something behind the wheel. There is Anthony James Myatt, the SRL entry, being chased down by the 359 of Ben Hicks. Got Scotty Angelo chasing down Al Brown. He's rode on board for a lap of this Silverstone circuit with Scotty Angelo, so we know he can get around here. He's dropped Rob Jackson and Ashley Gaffale completely, and is now mounting the challenge back on Al Brown. Got a feeling though, Scotty Angelo has been pushing the limits here at Silverstone. He's been off the road a couple of times. Scott Tuffy's been off the road once again. What has happened to Scott? Through Cobb's Corner, maybe just running wide, touching the AstroTurf, and with it being front wheel drive, you can keep your foot planted, and yeah, the car just pulls itself straight. So Scott in a last lap charge for the lead, but nothing will come of that. However, Dan Mould onto the hanger straight for the final time, with that gap now up to 2.5 seconds back to Scott Tuffy. 7 seconds to the good is Scott over Bram Class, so it's looking like the original race leader is going to finish on the bottom step of the podium if everything stays as is. Still half a lap to go, of course. Ben Hicks in the middle of this battle, led by Anthony Myatt, pardon me. Ben Hicks in the middle in 7th, Niels Manchanden there in 8th, up 6 positions, biggest mover in the field by the looks of it. I tell a lie, Harry Bowen up 7 positions for Fast Cars Go Bang in the number 500. Change of position further back though, however, this is Carl Lukeman and Matt Tempest once again battling away. Camera angle steals a bit of the corner entry from us, however, it looks like Carl Lukeman has once again managed to fend off the Simtech Racing number 10 machine. However, going through the final sector, the final string of corners is Dan Mould. Everybody, original pole sitter, not with the greatest of starts, does get the fastest lap of the race, where in most cases that would give him 2 bonus points. However, he is going to finish in the lead, so I think the 2 bonus points will end up going to Bram Class there in 3rd. But Dan Mould, everybody, wins round 6 of the Simulation Racing Leagues TCR series here at Silverstone. A dominating drive from himself, made up for the mistake and extended that gap up to 2.7 seconds at the line from Scott Tuffy. Delighted with 2nd position. Bram Class, everybody, rounds out your podium in 3rd. Andy Lovesey for SRL crosses the line in 4th. Rob Sutherland in 5th. Niels Manchanden charging towards the line, manages to fend off Ben Hicks for 6th. Ben Hicks there in 7th. Scott Malcolm, after a bit of contact with Andy Lovesey, finishes in 8th. Pete Bryan in 9th. Carl Lukeman crossing the line in 10th. Shortly followed by Matt Tempest. Al Brown in 12th. Scotty Angelo 13th. Anthony Myatt through Woodcut in 14th. Ashley Gaffale 15th. Rob Jackson 16th. And Derek Crowther on his own through the final corner and finishes in 17th position. Dean Hammond winding his way through the final corner in 18th position, the number 44. Beautiful livery aboard that car. Crosses the line in 18th position. In the background you can see the next couple of finishes on the way through. Fraser Geraghty for CRG Motorsport, not joined by his teammate this evening, Callum Reid-Garton. So holding the banner up for himself, finishes in 19th. Harry Bowen in 20th. Neil Stevenson through the final corner to finish in 21st. Radoslav Zaharev, after multiple battles, we saw lots of battles involving Radoslav, crosses the line in 22nd. Jason Guerra, for Simtech Racing. Very, very bright machine is that. Matt White with bright blue wheels through the final corner at a rapid rate of knots to finish in 23rd. Back a little bit to the car that you can't miss, the gold machine of Victor Oliveira, the 666. The Brazilian driver crosses the line in 24th position, and that rounds out your overall finishes. But wow, what a race. Lots of battles. They do go too quickly. 40 minutes gone in the blink of an eye. I think it's just because everybody's battling. You've got to pretty much look everywhere at once. And I do think that does mean we will have some finishing results for you. So what I'll do, we'll get them up on screen and rattle you through the finishing order. There is our winner, Dan Mould, finishing right up at the front. A great drive from himself to take the overall win by 2.7 seconds from Scott Tuffy. Bram Class rounds out your podium for SimTech Racing. Andy Lovesey in 4th, Rob Sutherland in 5th, Niels Manshandon in 6th, Ben Hicks in 7th, Scott Malcolm hard for 8th, Pete Bryan there in 9th, Carl Lukeman rounds out your top 10, followed by Matt Tempest, Al Brown, Scotty Angelo and Anthony James Meyer. Ashley Gaffale finishes in 15th, Rob Jackson in 16th, 17th was Derek Crowther, and Dean Hammond rounds out your top 18. We'll go down another couple of rows. And it was Fraser Garrity in 19th, Harry Bowen in 20th, Neil Stevenson in 21st, Radoslav Zaharev in 22nd, Jason Guara in 23rd, and Victor Oliveira, the last of your finishes, in 24th. And we did have a couple of retirements. Sadly, David Smith, John Brown, Craig Walters with a VR failure, Jermaine Warren in 28th, and Louis Granger, I don't even think, managed to make it to the start, which is such a shame. However, that was a very, very, very busy race, very exciting race, of course, as well. And I think we may end up with some interviews for you. We'll have a quick look at the interview waiting room. And we do have an interview for you. So what I will do is I will drag him into the commentary box. And there we go. Bram Class, welcome to the commentary box.
Hello, Jack. Good evening.
It went very well for you at the start, obviously making Dan Mould feel even worse about his start, jumping into the lead, and then I think strategy was really what was the final nail in the coffin for you. What do you think happened with that? It looked like you were on for a great finish. Not saying that third isn't great, that's a brilliant result for yourself, of course, but it looked like you were on for a win, and the strategy just unravelled it all.
Yeah, it was a nice start, but yeah, leading is in my case it's harder than following. So I was more checking in my mirrors and I saw the guys closing up. So I knew it was going to be tough. And eventually I thought I was going to pit early because I was losing time due to the fighting. I thought I was going to pit earlier, but I took too much fuel. Basically I had lost a few seconds there, but not that it would matter in the end because as you've seen, Dan is really, really well in managing his tires and he can keep continuously pushing. While my tires were degrading a lot, so there was no way in catching those guys up. But a nice win of Dan, of course.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought win from himself, obviously making up for that poor start. In terms of Silverstone, we were saying it's a very, very long circuit, 5 kilometres long, and for qualifying to be that close, and then for Dan to find a little something else during the race, just to gain back that time and strategy, of course. Do you think maybe the race was more or less won in qualifying and on strategy than it was on out-and-out race pace?
Well, obviously a good starting position would be key, but yeah, like I said, it's a long track, a lot of corners, and well, tire management is really hard. There are really fast corners, maggots and baggets, where you can destroy your tires if you're sliding more there. And I think if you manage that well, then you can keep going, and that's what's been going on tonight. That made the difference from well, winning or losing.
Well, you definitely showed off your handy skills behind the wheel of that Audi. In 2 weeks' time, we continue on with our adventure of the United Kingdom circuits. We go to Alton Park, the international layout. What do you think that'll bring for yourself? Is it a circuit you're comfortable with?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I've driven there several times, so I should be able to perform well. But unless Dan wants to make it into heat races of 20 minutes, I don't think I'll manage to pull it off in the end. But we will see. It's going to be a fun race anyway.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you there, obviously, if we manage to get out, and hopefully we continue on with some more good results for yourself. Once again, well done on the podium. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while you're on the stream?
Especially Matt Tempest, my dear team manager colleague from STR, who's making all the job easier, so I can focus on the racing. So it's a bit nice. I'm just kidding, but thanks to the team in general, and well, let's hope we will be back next race.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box once again. Well done, and we'll see you
Good
very
evening,
soon.
Jack.
See you later. Bram Glass there, overall finishing in third. Like you said, a very tricky circuit, and sadly just missed out on the front. What we'll do is we'll bring in our second place driver. We'll go up from the bottom end of our podium. Scott Tuffy, welcome to the commentary box. It looked so good, mate. That was all going your way, but a slight little mistake gave you all the work to do again.
Yeah, it was good fighting out there. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, me and Bram both got the jump on Dan at the start, and Bram, I just couldn't get past him. He was defending really well, and unfortunately, that as we was fighting, I got a bit out of position, and Dan snuck up around me. So, fair play to him. He took advantage of that. But then I was then playing gooseberry, shall we say? I was chasing them. And there was a couple of times I had really good runs on them, but with these cars, they got big behinds, shall we say? And when you got to run, when you can't really take these cars free wide, it's just it's too risky. So you just have to wait for an opportunity. And yeah, it was good going. Shame I couldn't take Dan to the end. I had a bit of I hit the barrier on the way out of my pit stop, so that gave him a bit of a couple of seconds just out of the pit stops there. But yeah, no, it was good fun once again. These cars they're a bit slow personally for my liking, but they do make good wheel-to-wheel racing, and that's what this league's all about. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great race to watch. You mentioned the pit stops, and strategy, well, in the unfortunate case of Bram Glass, really didn't work for him. And yeah, you said you had a bit of a knock with the wall, but would you say strategy in theory is where this race is won or lost? I almost pitched the same question to Bram, but it seemed like that little mistake cost you double what it would have done out on the road.
I would say if the field was a bit more split, then yes. But as I've said a number of times, the pace of this field is so tight together that there's no real. You've always run that risk of, as Bram has done, he's pitted and come out in traffic. I assume I haven't seen it back, but yeah, it's not really like the official races where the field really gets split up and you can pit early and try and undercut or overcut someone because there's not that opportunity. So it's kind of, yeah, you have to just do all your fighting out on track, which is, I suppose, what we all want. We all want wheel-to-wheel racing, and we'd much rather do it out on track than in the pits anyway. It's a bit of an ego thing, isn't it? But it's, yeah, there's where it's only 40 minutes as well. I think if the race was maybe an hour, especially a track round this, like these cars, that they take such a battering on the tyres. Yeah. So that's, yeah, but it's still good. Still good fun.
It was a great race to watch, of course. And Alton Park, we continue on in the UK in 2 weeks' time. Is it a circuit you're comfortable with, something that you're looking forward to, or do you just want to get it done and out of the way as quickly as possible?
I do like Alton Park. Love the GT3s around there. It's once again, it's going to be a difficult track to overtake. I think you're probably going to see a few more spins and incidents than you have done on any other track because of how tight it is. Especially for these cars, it's very difficult to get a run on someone. So you're going to have some big cojones, shall we say, to send it on some people. There's going to be plenty of sends. So and I think it's going to make for some interesting viewing. But I'm looking forward to Alton Park.
Yeah, definitely can't wait to see these Audis out on track there. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while you're live on the stream?
As always, Dan for setting up the league. I'm having real fun. I know some people are having incidents and hope they they're kind of deciding whether to leave the league or not. But it's important just to stay because it is good fun. We do get good close racing here. It's what we all want. No one intentionally wants to crash people off, and just thanks to everyone who's in the league and making it fun for what it is.
Great stuff. Well, once again, massive well done on second place this evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Alton Park.
Thanks, Jack.
That was Scott Tuffy there, dubbed Stuffy. streaming the race tonight over on his YouTube channel, so please do head over and show him some support. Finishing in second place. We have time for one more interview, and it will be our eventual winner. We do bring him in mid-conversation as is necessary. But Dan Mould, welcome to the commentary box, and well done, mate. That was a very good drive. Made up for that poor start, and you did it in style.
Thanks, Jack. Dreadful start. Got down to 4th, didn't I?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, dreadful start. Good race. Close with Bram. He did some good defending, and then I think while him and Scott were battling, I just took an opportunity on Scott, got into second, and then just kept on Bram's tail. I think he just made a mistake, and I got around him, and then he's just been messaging me. His tyres died. My tyres felt quite good towards the end. I don't know what I do to keep them so grippy, but there's something I'm doing right.
Evidently, not just in tyre management, but in strategy as well. You pulled out a second or maybe two over Scott in the pit lane. I heard he had a bit of an incident with the pit wall. Obviously, the pit wall hit him. He didn't hit the pit wall. It's obviously not his fault at all.
Yeah.
But I've asked the question to everybody we've had in the commentary box. But strategy, with it being on such a long circuit, do you think that is where the race is won or lost? It's where you can make the most or lose the most time.
On looking at the fuel gauge in the black box, and I was a little bit concerned that we weren't going to have enough fuel, because in the previous race at Brands Hatch, the fuel was set to 25, and I think lads were pitting in maybe a lap early, and they were running out of fuel. I thought, oh no, it's going to happen again. No strategy, just use the crew chief, and I think actually I was overfueled by maybe a lap and a half. So if it's going forward, I might look at actually doing a manual fuel fill than using crew chief to gain that extra time. But you just come in as late as possible. You tend to. I think if it was a bit, I don't know, maybe if Cal was involved, I may have looked to add in a bit of strategy if I could. It's a shame he couldn't make tonight. I'm sure he would have. I'm sure he would have been up there easily. I would have been chasing him. We all know he's got the pace. But yeah, it was a good race. I do like that track. It's a very good track.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. We raced it before the season started, and it was a good race then. It's one of my favourites.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the battle at the start. Really was good.
It was great to watch, and I can massively get behind your statement. I do love this Silverstone circuit. 2 weeks' time, we continue on with our tour of the UK circuits. We go to Alton Park. The narrow circuits, very quick corners, very slow corners, and getting through there by myself, I know when I've tested around there, it's tricky, but as shown tonight, you can go 2 or maybe even 3 wide in places where you wouldn't expect it. So what do you think that'll bring to the championship? A proper good mix-up?
I'm hoping so. We were running the full international version with the chicanes. I've had a couple of lads ask me if we're going to run the non-chicane version, but I think having the chicanes in will add a little bit of diversity to the race, maybe cause a few outbreaking situations for people, and maybe upset the field a little bit. We shall see. Yeah, it is my favourite track, Alton Park. Not on iRacing. I mean, in reality, it is my favourite track. I loved it on Project Cars. Not really a fan of driving it on iRacing. It's a little bit different than Project Cars, but like I say, it's one of my favourites, and hopefully I can do well. Excuse me.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing how that unfolds, and you might even have a little playmate again for the championship with Callum. We hope he can make it there, of course. But while we've got you in the commentary box, and before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
I want to thank everyone who took part tonight. It was a really good turnout tonight. I think we had in excess of, 28, 29 drivers on the grid. 29. So thanks to everybody for taking part. It is, as an event organizer, you always think, is anyone going to turn up, but it's nice to see all them cars on track. So yeah, everyone, thanks, for being there, and I hope you had a good race. Thanks to yourself. Thanks to anybody watching. And thanks to Cal for not turning up.
Great stuff, and once again, massive well done on another win here this evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Alton Park.
Thanks, Jack. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
That was Dan Mould there, race winner, and sadly, it's that time again. It comes around way too early. It means I've got to let you off the hook, which I'm sure is to your delight, but it is to my demise. I do absolutely love covering this championship. You can see on your screen, this was round 6 of the Simulation Racing Leagues TCR series here at the classic Silverstone circuit. Thank you very much, everybody who took part, everybody who's got anything to do behind the scenes of this championship, everybody who watched along. It's been an absolute pleasure, but we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Alton Park. Bye-bye.